Morning. Good morning and welcome to the Sunday morning service at the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship in Laguna Beach. We are so glad that you have joined us today for worship at UUFLB or joined us for worship through the miracles of Zoom. The land on which we join together in worship is the ancestral and unceded territory of the Ahashiman and Tongva tribes. And we offer our gratitude to the First Nations for their care of the earth and for their teachings. And with humility, we commit to learning and working on behalf of justice. My name is Pamela Flodman, and I will be serving as the worship associate this morning. Our Zoom and audiovisual texts today are Don West Jr., and Dara Skarecky, and our music will be led by our talented music director, Carole. We are so grateful for the amazing team of people here at UUFLB who make it possible for us to worship on Sunday mornings. So thank you to all. And this morning we are delighted to welcome Rev Gregory Cline as our guest minister for a service that he has entitled An Agape Kind of Love. And I hope I pronounced agape close to right. Greg was ordained as an interfaith chaplain and minister by the Chaplaincy Institute, and he received his Master of Divinity from the Starr King School for the ministry in May of this year. Greg is also in candidacy status as a Unitarian Universalist minister and is currently a chaplain resident at the California Rehabilitation Institute, an advanced trauma rehabilitation center in Los Angeles. And I think Greg will be willing to stay around for a few minutes after the service because I'm sure that we all both want to greet Greg now that he's back here visiting with us and maybe learn a little bit more about what he's doing. But this morning, he will be leading us in an exploration of what we mean when we say that love is the center of it all. Today, our gathering music, which we just heard, was Seasons of Love from the Broadway musical Rent. Now, one of the real joys of being a worship associate is having the opportunity to explore music that may fit with the theme of each service. And this week, the words of this beautiful song really spoke to me. 525,600 minutes. So that's the number of minutes in a typical year, an ordinary year. 525,600 minutes. How do you measure a year in the life? And the answer in the chorus is simple. Remember the love. So each Sunday, anywhere there is a service held in a Unitarian Universalist congregation, a chalice is lit. The flaming chalice is the symbol of our faith. And if you've joined us this morning by Zoom, I invite you to light a chalice within your home. Our chalice lighting words this morning were written by the Reverend Tom Goldsmith, who served the First Unitarian Church of Salt Lake City for 34 years before retiring. And Reverend Goldsmith used this chalice lighting to begin worship every Sunday. So I've asked Greg to come forward and light our chalice for us this morning. Symbol of light and knowledge, symbol of warmth and freedom, we light this chalice as a symbol of our faith. Here we gather to celebrate hope and the infinite possibilities of love. So thank you, Greg, for joining us today at UUFLB and for lighting our chalice this morning to begin our time of worship. And throughout the service this morning, if you are here with us in the building, I invite you, if you wish, to come forward and light a candle here in the sanctuary in recognition of whatever you are carrying in your heart as you join us for worship today. At UUFLB, we are a welcoming congregation with a commitment to work together to actively dismantle systemic racism and to actively dismantle oppression in all of its forms. Whoever you are, whomever you love, no matter your age, your gender, your ancestral or ethnic background, no matter whatever life experiences you carry with you, really whatever has brought you here this morning, and whatever sincere questions you bring with you today, we welcome you to our community of mutual caring and serious intent to grow as spiritual and ethical beings, and to be a community which can support each of us as we work to make a difference in our world. Unitarian Universalists subscribe to no single religious creed, but have gathered a set of principles that guide us as we build a religious community together. The principles that Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm and promote are on the back of your order of service. And if you haven't already picked up an order of service, there are copies in the basket on the bench in the back of the sanctuary. So welcome to all. Connecting with each other is the way that we build community, as a strong base from which we go out and from which we can work to make a difference in the world. And it is such a joy for us to have guests on Sunday mornings. So if you are here this morning for the first or second time, we'd love to get to know you. If you are comfortable doing so, please stand and share with us your name, where you are from, and what brings you to visit our church today. So I'll start with our guests on Zoom. Do we have anyone who's joining us for the first or second time on Zoom who would like to introduce themselves? And if so, please raise your hand on the Zoom screen, and Dawn will recognize you and highlight you so that we can hear your greeting. Okay, looks like we don't have any guests on Zoom. Do we have any guests here in the sanctuary who would like to take a chance to introduce themselves? How wonderful. So for those on Zoom, they won't have heard you, Bob, so I'm going to try to do a quick little recap. So Bob came for the coffee, but actually, really, he came, he is a member of the UU congregation in Redwood City, and I guess you're here in Southern California and chose to come on a Sunday morning to join us. So welcome. It's lovely to see you. And I hope that everyone has a chance to stay for a few minutes after the service, enjoy coffee and conversation. It's a beautiful day outside. We can use the front patio as well. And for those who are visiting, if you would like to be added to the email mailing list so that you can receive notice about each service and other events, we would love to add you to the mailing list. So now on the slide that Dawn will put up for us is information about upcoming services here at UUFLB. So first, I will say that next week, December 17th, Don West Jr., who is today serving as our Zoom tech, will be here in person with us in Long Beach in Laguna Beach, sorry, to lead our service. And Dawn, I think many of you know, over the past year has been leading us each month through an exploration of our principles, culminating recently in a discussion of the proposed 8th principle, which is in discussion through congregations, UU congregations throughout the country, and with the UUA. And I believe next week, Dawn is planning to continue our discussion of the principles. So now we have discussed each of the principles, but the 8th proposed principle is that Unitarian Universalist congregations affirm and promote journeying towards spiritual wholeness by working to build a diverse, multicultural, beloved community by our actions that accountably dismantle racism and other oppressions in ourselves and in our institutions. And I know that each time we have a chance to work together with Dawn in person, We also have the opportunity to dig deeper into what we really believe it means to be Unitarian Universalist and to bring that message to the world. So we're looking forward to seeing Dawn next Sunday on December 17th. And then the following week, this year, Christmas Eve falls on a Sunday, December 24th. So Christmas Eve morning, we will be having a gathering here at UUFLB with carols and readings and a chance to come together as community. In the evening, there is a Christmas Eve candlelight service at Tapestry, Unitarian Universalist congregation, which is just a few miles sort of to the northeast of us, I guess. And that evening service starts at 5:30 in the afternoon. Again, it will be a candlelight carol service at Tapestry, and we're all encouraged and welcome to join that service. I know I've attended several years, and it's a beautiful service. The other major announcement I have is the sock tree. And those of you who are here in the fellowship building can see the sock tree here in the front of our sanctuary. And we will shortly put up a slide to tell you a little bit about the plans for the sock tree and also focus on the sock tree with the camera from the back of the fellowship building so that those of you who are on Zoom can see it. I know that there are Zoom attendees who've been contributing to help us work together to make the holidays warm and fuzzy, as Noreen Kukkonen said. Noreen has been our instigator in bringing the sock tree here to the fellowship, and we're each encouraged to bring in pairs of new adult socks to adorn our tree. Toiletries are always welcome. And all of these donations will be given to the Laguna Beach Alternative Sleeping Location, the shelter. And the socks and toiletries really are always among the most appreciated items at the alternative sleeping location. So this really does give us an opportunity as a community to make a difference. So many thanks to Noreen for bringing the sock tree to us. And I do think it's beautiful. And Dara, did you have an opportunity to focus on the sock tree with the camera as well so that the folks on Zoom can see it? There it is. Excellent. Okay, other announcements are that we will continue to have on Mondays at noon, the Zoom at noon gatherings. So thank you to Paul Bogdan for helping to host the Zoom at noon discussion group, and all are welcome to join. And if you aren't getting the announcements or need the Zoom link, please speak to Paul or I think to Rachel. And this is, again, another opportunity for our community to come together. Tomorrow evening, Monday evenings at 6 p.m. will be the monthly board meeting, and our monthly board meeting is held by Zoom. So if you are interested in joining the board meeting, please speak to Dara today or put a note in the chat that you need to receive the Zoom link for the board meeting. Noreen, did I forget an announcement that's important? Excellent. Noreen, I'm going to repeat it again so that the folk on Zoom can hear. Noreen has brought in a sign up on Christmas Eve morning. We are, after the service, going to share festive food with each other. So please sign up for what you might like to bring. I'm waiting to sign up last so that I can bring whatever it is that we're still needing. I have one other important announcement that people may or may not be aware of. One of the things that Paul Bogdan does for us in the fellowship is to coordinate the rentals of the building. And of course, this building is a wonderful space, both for service, but also for other events during the week. And there is a new renter who's going to be renting the building starting in January. And I'm going to hold up here, but no one on Zoom can see it, we'll post it here in the building as well. Starting in January, there is a new gathering that's going to happen here each week that is being called the newly formed Cypress Theater. And it's a musical theater program that the organizers have developed to be available to young people who want to get involved with the performing arts, designed to build self-esteem through the performing arts. And their first undertaking in January through March will be The Wizard of Oz. So on their weekly meetings, they'll be working on character development and acting, singing, dancing, stagecraft, and so forth, to be eventually developing a performance that will be being given for family and friends. And so this group has chosen that this is a wonderful space to hold this. And it's in their hopes the first of an ongoing series of similar events that they're going to be holding here. So I'm going to put the poster up in the back later on. It's a great thing to spread the word about, but I think we're also really excited to have some additional folk coming in to rent the building and to, you know, potentially be in a place where they'd like to learn more about us as a congregation as well. So thank you, Paul, for working with our renters and for helping to set this up. I think it's really exciting. Do we have any other announcements? I think I have already announced the board meeting. Okay, great. Well, welcome everyone. Welcome to our service here at UUFLB.
Now offer us just a quick centering thought. May love, the force that unites us all, be the guide of my thoughts, intentions, and actions. Let my interactions with the world be an embodiment of this divine, nurturing relationships, fostering understanding, kindling compassion, and guiding actions. In each heartbeat.
Oh, there.
A reminder that we are all threads woven into the intricate fabric of existence. The call to worship today is called With Love as My Guide. Author is Cindy Terralazzo. Amidst the swirl of life's challenges, fears, and even moments of crisis, I make time to gaze at the night sky and see the vastness there. And to remember that this moment in time is but a flicker. Not an inconsequential flicker, for what I do and think now does matter. My work, though, is to let the debris of this world pass by while I anchor myself to what I know is true. Love, kindness, compassion, and caring for this precious life.
I do and think now does matter.
And all that calls this place home. This is my North Star. With love as my guide, how can I possibly go wrong?
Our opening hymn this morning is number 1031, Filled with Loving Kindness. So please stand in body, mind, or spirit as you are comfortable and join together with Carole in singing, Filled with Loving Kindness, and the words will be on the screens.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May now we supply it with you. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be well. May you be peaceful and at ease. May you be whole. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be filled with loving kindness. May we be well. May we be peaceful and at ease. May we be whole.
Let us take a moment to remind ourselves why we come together as a community. I invite you to read these words of our unison affirmation together when and if it feels right for you. If you have joined us by Zoom, you may want to unmute your microphone so that your voice can be joined together with all of the voices here in the fellowship building. Please join me in reading. Love
Love
Is
is the
spirit
spirit of this
of this
fellowship,
fellowship,
and
and
service is
is
its
its
law.
law.
great
This
covenant
is our great
covenant
covenant
together
to
in
dwell
dwell
together,
together in peace,
to
to
seek the
seek the
truth
truth in
in
love,
love, and
and
to
to
help
help one another.
Thank you for joining together, for being part of this community, for committing to make a difference.
Our reading today is called For Love in a Time of Conflict by John O'Donohue. When the gentleness between you hardens and you fall out of your belonging with each other, maybe the depths you have reached hold you still. With no true word can be said or heard, and you mirror each other in the script of hurt. When even the silence has become raw and torn, may you hear again an echo of your first music. When the weave of affection starts to unravel and anger begins to sear the ground between you, before this weather of grief invites the black seed of bitterness to find root, may your souls come to kiss. Now is the time for one of you to be gracious, to allow a kindness beyond thought and hurt. Reach out with sure hands to take the chalice of your love and carry it carefully through the echoless waste until this winter pilgrimage leads you towards the gateway of spring.
We have come to a time in our service to briefly share the important events that have touched our lives in the past week. The joys that we share are amplified, so they extend beyond ourselves into community. And when we share our sorrows, we provide for each other the support and care that are vital for all of us. So during this time of sharing joys and concerns, we will pause the recording of the service. And I'm service. As we recognize that it is as much a blessing to be able to give as it is to receive. And in this self-governing, self-sustaining community, we recognize that it is a responsibility for each of us to both give and to receive and to do both well, because our fellowship depends on the love and the generous contribution from our members in time, compassion, humor, and financial contribution, as all of our guests are needed for this fellowship and for its continued work in the world. And so during this time of the offering, we will be passing a basket during the fellowship, and the information on this beautiful slide, which Noreen put together, I think, gives additional ways in which you can give electronically or by sending a check to the fellowship. Please stand in mind, body, or spirit as you are comfortable, and join us as we sing to each other words of sincere gratitude. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give. Together we share, and from this we live.
Think with all the hectic things that go on in our holiday seasons and just everything we need to take a break from in life, I'm going to invite you to settle in for a brief meditation. So if you can kind of sit in your seats a little straight, keep your body, and if you're comfortable, close your eyes for a moment. I'm going to ask you to take 3 deep breaths. In, out, in, out, in, out. And now I'm going to ask you to, place your hand over your heart. Kind of press in a little bit so you can really feel it. And I want you to feel internally and externally how it beats. Is it fast? Is it slow? Is it being assisted? Feel that it is something that is unique to you. Nobody's heart beats the way yours does. It can be comforting. But also recognize that while your heartbeat is unique, the rhythm is universal. all our heartbeats in generally the same way. So that although your heartbeat is unique, you are also connected to each other through the rhythm. Release your heart and take 3 more deep breaths with me. Inhale 1, out, 2, in, out, and the last one, in and out. And I invite you back to us together in this time. I love you. This proclamation was not entirely out of the blue. I'd been visiting a patient sitting at this bedside in my role as chaplain. We'd been discussing theology. I told him that I believed in the interconnectedness of us all and that love is the key to that connection. He paused, he looked intently at me, he reached his hands out and grasped mine, and he told me he agreed wholeheartedly, and then he told me he loved me several times. Now, I admit I was a little surprised at first, but then I told him I loved him back. This is not what I thought I needed to say. I really meant it. After that visit, I reflected a little bit on our discussion, thinking about love and the interconnectedness of the web of existence, and that led me to write this sermon. When I told the patient that I loved him, the love came from my heart, a love that is centrally a part of my spirituality and theology. But I began meditating on what kind of love that is. So, like all good theological academics, I needed to first find a definition of love. So I turned to the Greeks for a broadly accepted definition and types of love we can feel for each other. So I asked myself first, was I in love with him? That kind of eros, romantic kind of love? No, not that kind of love. This is the type of love I share with my wife, and experiencing that love allows me to be who I am. This is also an aspect of spirituality that helps me continue working and helping others, knowing that I receive that type of love. Was this love for my patient philia, or the love of a friend? In time, maybe. I mean, I'd been visiting him frequently and long enough, but this type of love also sustains me in my spiritual life. My friends have seen my journey towards spiritual leadership and have loved me through the times of doubt and discernment. Was this then my love for the patient, the same love I share with my family, referred to as storage? Though he was a kind older man and someone I could kind of see as a father figure, no, that's not what I felt either. When he said he loved me and I said I loved him, we were experiencing a love called AGAPE, the love of all humanity. It's a love that doesn't require reciprocation, a love that's not for self-benefit, but for the simple joy of being in the presence of one another. We might also be experiencing this love during the holiday season we're entering into, when we sincerely wish each other well, happy holidays, happy Hanukkah, and even just the basking in the glow of shared time and expense with each other, it takes on an almost magical feel. This too is what I meant by when I say love is central to my spirituality. And so with so many ways that love can be found in the text of so many religions, I also began to think about how universal the idea of agape love is. So this same idea of the definition of love can be found in many, many texts in something called the Golden Rule. In Judaism, the Torah says, love thy neighbor as yourself, Leviticus 19:18. Hindu writings state, the sum of duty, do not unto others what you would not have them do unto you. And in the Quran, Muslims are instructed to serve Allah and join not any partners with him, and do good to parents, kinsfolk, orphans, those in need, neighbors who are strangers, the companion by the side, the wayfarer, and there's a lot more definitions after that. Christian scripture states, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There's no other commandment greater. As Unitarian Universalists, we side with love, affirming unconditional universal love as a foundation for grounding for our actions in the world. We strive to be of service to our communities and advocate for change on local, state, national, and international levels. Our proposed revisions to our principles center on love as the core of our covenant and how we approach each other in the wider world. So why is it sometimes so hard to live into this idea? One reason might be because we can't always bring love and compassion to those that are different from ourselves, or more specifically, understand the suffering in their lives that might separate us. With the conflict expanding in the Middle East, the divisiveness we have in our politics, and the continued loss of bodily autonomy, there are so many things that can challenge how we even approach each other and perceive that dignity, the worthiness of respect that might be inherent in that person. But isn't right now this time of year when we need to try to live up to those ideals of loving our neighbors? And if we can, what would that look like? Now, you might be thinking, how is a MAGA person suffering? How is this person that proudly posted themselves hurling racial slurs on TikTok suffering? The answer is, I don't know. We don't know what's happened in their lives, good or bad, that impact their experiences, what has had those impacts on them, and allowed them to express themselves in manners that we might feel abhorrent. There are also so many variations on an old saying that I truly find an apt way of describing this concept. A favorite, if graphic one, is from To Kill a Mockingbird by Arthur Harper Lee. This is when a father's trying to explain to his daughter about empathy. He says, quote, "If you can learn a simple trick, you'll get along better with all kinds of folks. You can never really understand a person you consider things from this point of view until you climb inside his skin and walk around in it." Now, let me be clear, I'm not asking you to approach all these interactions and searching for that one fragile thread that might tie you to that person spewing hate and racism, although that would be a really Buddhist thing to be able to do in an impressive feat. In fact, within Buddhism, we might find one key to this puzzle. It was the Buddhist Thich Nhat Hanh who stated that to understand the suffering of others, we must first understand that suffering within ourselves. Again, no small task. He had a beautiful, calm way of explaining complex feelings and behaviors. One of his poems, and my wife actually brought this one to me, called "Please Call Me by My True Names," shocked me at first the first time I read it. I just read it again and again and again, trying to understand its wisdom. It's a long poem, so I'm not going to read the whole thing right now, but I'm going to share some highlights. Actually, I encourage you to read the whole thing in full. It's really good. He wrote the poem after he received thousands of letters detailing the horrific acts committed by pirates on the refugees escaping Vietnam during the war. Please Call Me by My True Names is a poem of opposites, with the acknowledgement of our duality and how we see and can see sides to everything. Here's part of it. Do not say that I'll depart tomorrow. Even today, I'm still arriving. I am the mayfly metamorphosizing on the surface of the river, and I'm the bird which, when spring comes, arrives in time to eat the mayfly. I am the frog swimming happily in the clear waters of a pond, and I am the grass snake that silently feeds itself on the frog. Please call me by my true names, so I can hear all my cries of laughter at once, so I can see that the joy and pain are one. Please call me by my true names, so I can wake up, and so the door of my heart can be left open, the door of compassion. According to these Buddhist teachings, to understand, again, the suffering of others, we must first understand our own suffering. Knowing what makes us tick, what sets us off, can give us a glimpse into the motivation of others. Emotions such as fear, insecurity, anger, and pride are very powerful emotions that can shape the way we act and react to others. So, can emotions like compassion and love be a conscious bridge of how we react to others? I know, believe me, I know, when you have experienced times when who you are is being questioned, when you're criticized and told that you are less than. This is a time when expressing love for others can be especially challenging, when you don't even want to feel love from others. This, my friends, is when we need to take stock of ourselves. To, as the Buddha said, understand the suffering within yourself, how to ease your pain, and understand that we never truly know what each other are going through, and that acknowledging that we're all on our own paths, our own spiritual journeys, but that we can help each other along this path by recognizing, if you believe, that we are all connected. Can we seek comfort and joy in being with our families and the families of our choosing? Yes. Can we seek security and strength in banding together in our common communities of values and expressions to lift each other up and express who we love? Yes. And when we do this, are we spreading the love that is not for self-benefit, but for the love, the simple joy of being in the presence of one another? Yes. That is the love I experienced with that patient. We might not have seen eye to eye in our politics. In fact, we did not. That was a huge part of our visit, trying to find that one single strand of familiarity with each other. We were from different faiths, different social positions, but in that moment, we found one connection that allowed us to see one another and love one another. So truly, if nothing else, what I want you to understand from this sermon today is that you are loved. Maybe you're not told that enough, and that's a shame. Maybe you don't tell each other that enough, and that's a shame too. And sometimes that hard message might be difficult to receive because you're dealing with your own internal emotions and external experiences. I truly hope that you are supported and loved by family, friends, and this community during this season of love and celebration. And if all else fails, know you are loved by me. Please try to give yourself some grace and receive this agape kind of love. For it's this love, no strings attached, just for being you, that we all need right now. Amen and blessed be. Now, I invite you to join us, stand in mind, body, spirit, and sing the closing hymn 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every color, every creed and kind, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace, when our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our story from deep within, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the God of our heart stirs within, feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
Now is the time for us to extinguish the chalice here at UUFLB and within our homes. We extinguish the flame, but we keep its light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls to the world we live in until we are together again.
Just once again, it's this time of year that we see holiday decorations, see beautiful sock trees, hear the holiday music, and maybe detect just a little more peace and goodwill towards all. Whether you celebrate a holiday this year or not, I truly hope you will all find some level of peace, joy, and love.
If you wish to sing Let There Be Peace on Earth. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With earth as our mother, we are family. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony.